Hello everyone, this is James Gilbert. You may know me as Jim or Sled Everything on Instagram. So I just wanted to make a quick video about resurfacing my sled. The sleds that I use are Mad River Rockets. They are pretty well known in Vermont, but outside of Vermont you might not have heard of them. They were designed back in the 1980s for powder and backcountry sledding, but they're actually really good for doing tricks as well. And since this is the amount of snow we've been getting where I live for the past 5 years, I'm not doing a lot of backcountry pow sledding. This is my first sled. I've had this for about 7 years. It's definitely sustained some damage. You can see there's some lengthwise cracks there and there. This is a pretty nasty one right here. And then the back of the sled, there's a crack that happened quite a few years ago, and I repaired it by bolting a piece of blue plastic barrel, and that hasn't spread at all. I drilled out the end of it, so that's been stable. But how did it get to this point? Mainly it's because I've been hitting rails and rocks and trees and stuff with this sled. It's also gotten very thin because I've resurfaced it about 20 times. So this sled I've had for about 2 years and I've never resurfaced it. I have tried to keep it off rails, but this year the green color was just too appealing, so I did hit some rails, and now it's got some scratches, which I'd like to deal with. I also brought out this pretty standard hardware store grade sled just for reference. I wish I had a scale here so you could see the difference in weight between these, but this is a very thin plastic. You can like kind of see it flex just by me setting it down on the table and moving it. And there's really no comparison. The Mad River Rocket is like 4 times as thick. It is extremely stiff, although it does bend a little bit under heavy weight, which helps it not crack. And there's a lot of thickness on the bottom here. So these sleds are fine. I've had a lot of fun with them in the past, but they don't last very long and you can't resurface them. The Mad River Rockets, I mean, I've been using this for 7 years and it does have some damage, but this mostly occurred just over the course of the last year. And it still works. Like, I can use this sled, and I usually do if I'm gonna do something that's gonna cause more damage, because I'm trying to keep this one pretty fresh. But as I previously mentioned, I have hit rails on this, so I'm gonna be resurfacing this today. So this is the tool. This is a woodworking plane made by Lee Nielsen. It's the 60.5 adjustable throat block plane. This is way nicer than what you would actually need for doing a sled, but I'm a woodworker in my personal life, so I do already have this. It does take some expertise to keep this tool maintained properly, and there may be other ways of resurfacing a sled, but this is just how I do it. So pretty much you just push it through, and yep, that's taking a very small shaving there. I'm gonna put a little bit more blade out. And there's a bit more. So probably gonna want to time lapse this because it can be a bit time consuming. Alright, so this is what I've taken off so far. It's not much, but the wind is picking up, so I've just brought over this to put them in as trash because I don't want them getting blown around. Just go with it, I guess. All right, so as you can see, that is pretty much done. There are a few areas of imperfection around the convex places because it's much more difficult, but I don't pay too much attention to those because that doesn't exert a lot of pressure on the ground. Your speed is mostly affected by what's happening in this flat spot. So you can see, hopefully, as I angle it against the sun, that those scratches are pretty much gone. And there are still some faint lines from where they used to be, but hopefully you can see this. The surface is actually flat. I don't know if that's just ghost left over from some PTEX base welding I did last year, but this is smooth. This is done. The only thing left to do now is to address all of these kind of overhanging bits, like on the edges. This is all chewed up right here. So I'm going to take the plane and put a lot of blade out because it takes forever if you do it with a low set blade, and just take off those areas to get this nice and crisp. All right, so I am going to call that done. There are a couple of things that aren't perfect. There's this big scratch there that I'm just gonna leave alone. I already mentioned the convex areas. And then the plane, you know, it's a little more difficult to plane than wood. It likes to chatter, but you know, the good news is that none of this really matters. Anything that you're gonna do resurfacing a sled is going to make it run faster than it did before when it was covered in scratches. So I'm gonna be able to go probably at least 10% faster with this now, even without waxing it. I usually don't wax the sled. I have used Swick's F4 cross-country ski wax before, and it seems to work, but the improvement from the wax is not that substantial, and I don't know where I left it last time I used it, so I think I'm just gonna leave it with a plastic surface. It's very smooth. It doesn't look perfectly smooth. If you have the black sled, like one of these ones, these sleds, they tend to look a little bit better when you resurface them because it's just one solid color throughout. But that's that. I don't think there's enough snow to really do anything right now, but you've probably seen that picnic table in the corner of the video this whole time, so I'll see if I can do something off the end of it just so this isn't boring. All right, given the snow conditions, I think that's about all I can do. We used to be able to sled off of the roof. It's been a few years since that's been an option. So fingers crossed that we do get some actual snow before the end of the year. Thanks for tuning in. Follow me on Instagram if you're not already doing that, at Sled Everything. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments. All right, thanks for watching.